Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Live with Little Data. And I'm joined here today by Valentin, founder of Omniconvert, to chat about data and CRO. So, welcome, Valentin.
Hi there. Thanks for having me, and hello, everyone.
So, I wanted to have you on the show on the live stream because I think we both operate in a very similar world, and I think we were chatting when we met up last month about how there's quite a lot of overlap between what Little Data does and what Omniconvert does. But perhaps just give us a quick overview of what you do.
Yes, so I'm here at Omniconvert. Let me switch to my desktop, my laptop camera, because I think something
Yeah,
was
that's better.
with the with the professional camera. Yeah, so basically at Omniconvert we are helping e-commerce companies to level up their game by doing A/B testing, improving their conversion rates, segmenting their customers, and overall improving the whole customer journey. We are 11 years old since we've started, and we work with all sorts of companies, from small to mid-sized to even large organizations from all over the world.
Awesome. And what are the sort of challenges typically the brands you work with have with CRO? Is it about the tooling? Is it about just expertise in what to test, or is it all of that?
Yeah, I think it's more about a mindset and the culture of experimentation, let's say. So there are many companies which are not having marketing managers; they have spending managers. So all they do is to invest money into ads and to hope that things will
Yeah.
change in the future. But in such a high competitive landscape, they must improve, and they must leverage the asset that they have, which is around visitor and customer data. So basically, the main problem that the companies have is that their top management is not aware about the actual levers that will level up their e-commerce game. Other than that, there are plenty of tools. We have a tool. There are other tools as well, but it's not about the tools. It's about who's deciding over the destiny of the company. And unfortunately, in the experimentation, there are not so many resources invested in the data tracking as well, in the data hygiene, the same. So most of the marketing budget gets eaten by the ad campaigns, by Meta, Google, TikTok, you name it.
Yeah, 100%. And it's so interesting talking about that phrase spending manager, because you say in most companies that the massive amount of money going out the door to Google and Meta for the ads, but a relatively tiny amount of money being spent on actually making sure those ads are converting to sales, or in fact even tracking whether they do convert into sales, which always strikes me as crazy. I mean, I posted, I think, something 2 weeks ago about the fact that people are willing to spend $1 million a month on Meta, but they'd question spending $1,000 a month on data tracking. Seems crazy to me.
Yeah, it's odd, but that shows the level of education that the marketing people have around how to actually grow in e-commerce. And I think the Meta and the Google AdWords teams, they did a tremendous job by making them associate growth with spending ad
Yeah,
spend.
and also like there's a lot of brands where really the goals for marketing are still kind of vanity metrics. It is about users and visits, and basically not truly caring about revenue and profitability. And so I think that's partly, I think, because it's just again that the ad company's done a great job in convincing people that it's okay, that's what they should be aiming for. But also just because it's really hard generally to attribute sales to campaigns, and so sometimes people just want to give up on the hard challenge of measuring that end-to-end user journey. So I think one of the cool things you've built the last, I think you released a couple of months ago, is this CRO benchmark that kind of helps to brands to understand how well they're doing in terms of converting people on their site to paying. Tell us a bit about kind of why you built that and how it works.
Yeah, so we wanted to help the market, the industry, and to let the e-commerce people aware about where they are in their CRO journey. So we basically teamed up with more than 120 CRO experts, to contribute together at building the hygiene factors that can be tracked, can be diagnosed through AI. So basically, what we did, it was like 6 weeks ago. We've got into a private Slack group. I've shouted out on LinkedIn that we want to build this. A lot of attention. We got a lot of attention. A lot of CRO experts started to say, "Yeah, I want to get in," and then they've started to submit all sorts of criteria, and then those got upvoted. There were comments around this is a hygiene factor, this is debatable, because what we were trying to do is to do an audit which is not debatable. So it's not like, for instance, having a return policy is not debatable, right? You have to
Right.
do to
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
to have a return policy, and to make it sure that if you want people to buy a product from you, maybe they don't like it, so
Yeah.
to let them know upfront if they can return it or not. While other factors are debatable. So, for
Yeah.
instance, it's debatable if having a return policy which is on the first screen of
Yeah.
any page, right? So you don't
Yeah.
want to do that. So what we managed to have is they've submitted something like 350 different criteria, out of which we've got the first 88, which were the ones that were the most critical, let's say. And
Yeah.
then we built a model to analyze, to do snapshots of websites, and we've trained this model based on this training data coming from CRO experts. So we've got the best of both worlds, let's say, because in any CRO endeavor, if you are doing conversion rate optimization, you look at the basics, right? But this eats a lot of time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
basically, what we were trying to do is to do like a CRO rank, like the
Yeah.
SEO world has the domain rank.
And as you say, use AI to detect some of the stuff that would otherwise take human eyeballs to figure out. I mean, obviously, I think probably quite a lot of people listening will be familiar with sort of some of the SEO audit tools, people like SEO Moz and Ahrefs, and I mean, I think they always have that sort of like there's errors, there's stuff that like you just have to have on your page for it to work. There's kind of warnings, which is stuff that we know are kind of recommended, and you're definitely going to have a problem if they're not working. And then there's kind of recommendations, which are just like other stuff that you might want, but it's a bit grey whether it really is a ranking factor. So it's sort of I think see the similar logic there, where, as you say, there's some stuff, basic hygiene factors that your page is just not going to convert without them, and there's some stuff which is like it might add in some situations a boost.
Yeah, that's
And
correct.
so is the tool, I mean, I guess you already sort of answered that partly, but is the tool aimed for other CRO experts to use?
Mhm.
It's not, or for gas, or a bit of both.
Yeah, it's for the moment it's free and accessible to any CRO expert, any CRO agency. The jobs to be done by this CRO benchmark, the first job to be done was, let's help CRO experts do their job faster and better, because they don't waste, I don't know, 6 hours to look at all these criteria, and to have a way of the common intelligence around this CRO factor. So that's the first job to be done. The second job to be done is to help digital marketers or e-commerce managers or CRO people within the organization, different organizations, so the internal teams, to persuade the upper management and show them where they stand against their competitors. Because we have this benchmark. It's not only the audit. So it's not just that you can run an audit for your e-commerce website. It's that you can also compare where you stand against your peers or competitors in your certain industry and certain market.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And I think
basically,
we're very familiar with that benchmarking concept. We built a similar tool a few years back, a little data, but obviously it's hugely important to know whether this is something you really need to fix. Like, as you say, is this something that everyone else is doing that you're not doing? Because that seems to be like a must-have, versus stuff that, as you say, like I'm already in the top quartile, so perhaps there's other things I should care about. Ultimately, I guess the people the people who have to make decisions have to prioritize CRO efforts against, as we said, optimizing the marketing spend, or better creative, or there's lots of other things they need to be doing, and I guess they need to understand how important are these fixes versus the other things.
yeah. That's correct. And I think it's CRO is still a work in progress for a lot of brands. So it
Yeah.
doesn't have the importance that must be having.
Yeah, sure. But also it's not, you know, because I always say this with other things like tracking accuracy and stuff. It's not an end in its sight. It's a constant journey of improvement. Like you, the problem is over time. Not only will stuff break because maybe you know rolled out change the theme and it breaks some basics of the CRO optimization, but also just because consumer expectations of user experience move on. Stuff that was perhaps you know optional 5 years ago, maybe around mobile responsiveness and stuff, is now mandatory. So I guess it helps them to understand whether they're keeping up with the times.
Yeah, that's true.
So let's talk a little bit about yeah, kind of obviously what Little Data's interested in doing is helping brands measure the you know not just the your tool can measure like up the on page you know hygiene factors, and we'll come back to you know one of the top ones there. But Little Data is about actually helping them see in Google Analytics if there's particular conversion blockers, being able to segment out the user journeys by you know by mobile device, by product, by geography, all these sort of different ways to be able to slice and dice and see where there are particular issues. And I think I guess you know to what extent do you see that same problem with the stores you work with, that they're blocked with a sort of inaccurate Google Analytics setup, or it's hard for them to make results just because of the tracking hygiene?
Yeah, I think tracking hygiene is the first step. So in any properly made CRO endeavor, you must have tracking right, because garbage in, garbage out, right? So
Right.
if you don't eliminate the bots, or if you are not tracking the right events or the micro conversion, so if you are relying on these kind of things without having the reality, then you are tweaking things that will not make the difference in the future. So, and our head of data still has he still says me that there are no websites which are 100% there in terms of
Tracking.
tracking.
Yeah.
Yeah. However, most of them, even though they have a lot of traffic, they are very far from having, let's say, just the basic and the must-haves there. And by the way, he told me a few weeks ago about Little Data, and he praised you guys that you are doing a very good job for the Shopify environment. So he stumbled upon a website that's been using you, and he had good things to say about you.
Yeah, thank you. In fact, that's happened quite a few with CRO agencies that, as you say, are so used to seeing like really bad Google Analytics setups, and sometimes when they find a good, they find us and they're like, oh wow, this actually works. I wonder how they're doing that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting. So going back to the sort of, you know, there are typically like four basic problems we can improve upon. So the first thing is at the beginning of the funnel, like most stores are actually tracking the product listing page correctly in terms of which products are being viewed and which are being clicked on. So that really limits their ability to optimize, let's say, the sort order of the listing pages or the filters or these kind of things. Secondly, they're not tracking ads to cart accurately, which obviously really limits their ability to understand who is getting, you know, basic interest and also removes from cart. And then thirdly, checkout steps. So obviously really important is actually just getting people through the checkout. And amazingly, how few stores are actually tracking all of the checkout steps and exactly what products they're checking out. You know, they're going through the checkout with. And obviously that helps you understand things like, you know, are you offering the right shipping options in different countries, or do you need offer different payment methods, or do people who choose certain payment methods not in fact complete the checkout? And then finally, just purchases. It's, you know, what we see is 20 to 30% of all the purchase, all the revenue in a Shopify store is actually missing from Google Analytics, and so you're fundamentally not able to. Yeah, it's very hard to present to your management team, hey, this is our improvement across the site, if you present the numbers from Google Analytics but they don't match what they see in Shopify. So just making that revenue match. And the really exciting news is that from February, we're going to be supporting a free version of the Little Data's app that will solve all these four core major problems for every Shopify store for free, as part of our kind of mission to try and improve accuracy. And I think that's going to be really helpful to a lot of the agencies and brands that you work with that are just trying to get that basic CRO data working correctly.
Yeah.
Now let's get back to the sort of so obviously by doing this audit of all these stores, you've come across some really common sort of hygiene factors. So what do you think are the sort of top 5 basic problems or the most common problems you're seeing with stores in terms of stuff that's not working well on their landing pages or their other
Yeah.
pages?
So the audit is based on the steps on the funnel. So we have the home page, we have the product listing page, we have the PDP, cart and checkout. One of the I think which is still let's say stunning for a lot of us is that the mobile responsiveness is not there. So basically you have, let's say, 60, 70, 80% of your traffic from mobile, but your website is unable to work correctly. So there is this simple accessibility thing regarding to the mobile responsiveness on across the funnel.
Yeah.
Another thing is which is the usual suspect. So the CTA is below the fold. So basically, you can't buy it, right? You need to scroll down, which
Yeah.
from any heat map you can see that few are up. Basically, like 10 to 15% of the visitors are actually scrolling down to the last part of the website. So that's another thing that it's a problem there. Another thing is the contrast between the CTA and the other elements on the page. So the call to action should stand out, right? This is the gate to your revenue as an e-commerce manager. But many companies are leaving it into the same color as the brand because they think this is better, or even worse than that, they leave it very bland, like a color which is not standing out. Another thing is that as I've stated initially, is that there are still companies which are not revealing the total price, including shipping up front, right? So you don't want to give bad surprises to your visitors, like this is the cost, and then guess what? It's the shipping makes the product twice as expensive, especially for low AOV. You need to tell faster from the funnel. I mean, earlier in the funnel, what's the total cost. And we have all sorts of and basically the reviews are another problem, that there are companies which are not using reviews properly. And
What would you mean properly? What's the wrong way of using reviews?
so the reviews are reducing the purchase hesitation, and they, of course, they provide this social proof. And there are certain industries like cosmetics, for instance. You're buying the promise of a better future, right? So if you're buying a cream or whatever, you want to make sure that this product, if it's a new product from an unknown direct-to-consumer brand that you've just clicked on an Instagram ad or whatever, you want to make sure that these products are good enough. So the social proof, if you don't have reviews and you're not like, I don't know, Sephora or whatever well-positioned, well-known brand, you have to leverage reviews. And there are companies which are burying their reviews down. You need to scroll down to see those reviews, or even worse, they don't have a way to prioritize the reviews. Or on the other hand, there is this black hat technique where you are just showing the outstanding reviews, and it's like everyone loves it. I think that
it looks fake, doesn't it? I think that's really interesting about reviews, that just you've got to mix in the negative with the positive, otherwise it just looks fake.
Yeah.
I think so. To just summarize, so basically top 5: CTA can't be seen below the fold, or CTA is poor contrast, can't be seen because it's the wrong color blends in. Third one is not
mobile responsiveness.
mobile responsiveness. Yeah, you're right. And then fourth one is the not being sure and really clear about the shipping total cost on the landing page. And then fifth one would be reviews, not being really clear and authentic about the reviews you're showing.
Yeah, is
Yeah.
that's right. And they are basically we now have a benchmark for around 2,000 websites already. Our product, I mean, this product is still in private beta, so there are only 800 people that registered to get access. And of course, we want to make it work before releasing to the general public. And but these criteria are the worst and the most impactful, and most of the website fail at these ones.
Yeah. On the mobile thing, I find it incredible that more people just, it's basically about not having a mobile first design process, where so much of the actual approval of designs and browsing the website is on their work, computer on their big screen. And I think that's the root problem, that a lot of people just forget about the mobile experience. They're not actually using their own site on mobile.
Yeah, it's odd that these basics are not addressed properly and also by large brands. I mean, they have a lot of traffic, but they still don't make this work properly.
Yeah. Excellent. So yeah, what's the future hold for the CRO audit? You're going to build out, as you say, obviously when it comes out of obviously in private beta, just testing that it's all working well. But hopefully you've now got a really good data set of brands, so anyone in a given vertical can get a good comparison of where they stand in terms of ranking.
Yeah. So basically, in the future, we're going to add the experimentation velocity, which means how many experiments or changes are you making on your website based on how much traffic do you have, because you can have a lot of traffic, but if you are not improving it, you are leaving money on the table. So it's like this potential of growth that you're not tapping because you're not changing your website fast enough according to the traffic that you have at your disposal. Another thing is that we will add this data tracking hygiene, which means that we will try to give a glimpse over how well the tracking is being made, and hopefully we'll be able to cooperate together into making this happen. And in the future, we'll add more recommendations in terms of the things that should be fixed in terms of the CRO. So we aim that at the end of Q1, we'll have 350 CRO criteria which are being analyzed automatically. So this is going to become hopefully the benchmark in the CRO industry, so that any e-commerce website can see where they stand and can get ideas of things that should be fixed or could be fixed, could be running experiments to validate that.
Awesome. So just to sum up, well, I think we're out of time now, but if you want to get access to that CRO audit tool from Omniconvert, you can reach out to Valentin and hopefully be able to join the private beta. And if you think that your Google Analytics is not accurate, if you recognize some of those problems of missing conversions or lack of the micro conversion events, things like adds to cart, checkout steps in Google Analytics, and you're on Shopify, then please reach out to me, and we have a really excellent product that's been working for thousands of brands for nearly 7 years now to fix that. So I look forward to working with more of you, and thank you, Valentin, for coming on the show.
Thanks, Edward, and all the best from Bucharest, and happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.